All right, we are live. Let me get the link here. Alrighty, let's see what's doing here. It's possible I put it on the other channel. Let's see here. Nope, I got it here. Alright, let me change it real quick. I didn't update the name because I'm a pleb. Someone join our chat?
Wealthy looks like he's just hanging out.
Okay. Alright, well, I'm getting ready to post it. Um, Ripping that jewel, man. Fucking
I just
beast.
chugged the rest of my beer.
Oh,
We're having a good time doing a little mock draft, having some fun around here.
In this video, I'll show you how
I gotta figure out how to share it.
You don't know how to share it?
Give me like a second. Alright.
Are you inebriated or something?
No, I got it. I had to find the button. Where are we gonna go? Podcast?
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Alright. We have started. Let me make sure we are all good to go. We are. Rejects 2020 mock draft. Let's see. Wealthy's chilling in here. He just listened to us. With that being said, this is the Rejects 2020 mock draft. I'm your host, Tom McShay, and I'm joined today by Milky Kuiper here, or at least trying to do his best Mel Kiper impression. How's it going, Milky?
Yeah. We all know that guy's terrible at what he does.
Mel Kiper. Mel Kiper
I'm
is
ready
a
to
joke,
go.
dude. Mel Kiper went to a community college.
Let's
Like,
be real, man. He's a joke. He's a goddamn joke.
Mel Kiper is a joke, but today we're here to put him to shame. I think if Mel Kiper and Tom McShay both did a mock draft for our league, they'd probably never get one single pick right because this is Madden and we have users who will do some stupid stuff, being honest with you.
They'll get the first overall pick right like they do every year, and after that it's like, why the hell is ESPN paying them millions of dollars when anybody could do that?
Ain't
Let's
that
be real
ain't
here.
that the truth? I think our first pick of the draft is going to be pretty certain, especially with it's going to be Carolina Panthers. They cut Cam Newton, and there's probably the best quarterback coming out since Andrew Luck, and his name is Tua
That's,
Tagovailoa. Do you want to get on into that one? I mean, I don't have much of an introduction here. Do you have anything you want to say before?
I would say he cut Cam. What else is there to say, really? He's either taking Tua from Herbert, and Tua's the best of them all, so it's got to be Tua.
Yeah, this is going to easily be Tua, and I'll highlight that here. So we've prepared a little PowerPoint, nice little preview here. I think
Nice
the
little visual aid.
yeah, the nice little answer here is we both got a consensus here. It's got to be Tua Tagovailoa, right? I mean, I don't. The only reason I don't see him drafting Tua is if they want a right-handed quarterback, but I think Tua's definitely able to get it done.
Yeah, I mean, the only it's Tua's going to if he's coming from a team that's surrounded with NFL talent, as you're gonna see in this mock draft. It's gonna be Alabama, Alabama, Alabama.
Yeah,
But
I think we
I
got
feel like
about.
he has the
Oh, go
talent.
ahead.
He's not a system quarterback. I think he's gonna come in and be a star.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're going to see, foreshadowing a little bit. I think we're going to see about 10 Alabama players here. I think Alabama's that loaded.
Minimum.
minimum. I think Alabama might break their own record about how many players they got drafted here in the first round. Um, I think Alabama is just at a whole nother level compared to other teams here, and I mean they keep putting out the best players year after year. It's not a secret. You can't hide that from anyone. The only one you can say is maybe Clemson, but you can see constantly Alabama guys come in the league and they produce right away.
Yep.
With that, I think Tua, he's got to be the guy. He's gonna try and start some things up there in Carolina. He could have had a way worse team that he could have fell to, but I think Carolina's a good fit for him. He's got a superstar running back, some pretty good, nice wide receivers. They lost Greg Olson, but I think they can easily replace some production over there. Got a pretty solid defense. I mean, this team could possibly make the playoffs next year, especially with Tua under the helm.
I couldn't agree more. If Tua comes in and is everything that we think he's gonna be, I I don't see why not. I don't see why this team won't be fighting for a wild card shot. Tough division, one of the toughest divisions in the league, but I think Tua has it in him.
And I think Carolina's also a candidate to be a worst to first kind of team. We usually see about one every year. One of those teams that's uh, you know, the worst team in their division. They pop up and they win it. It's not out of the ordinary, and I think Tua is totally the type of guy that can do it for you.
Yep, I agree.
All right, let's move on here to the second pick. We also have a consensus here. This is going to be the Cincinnati Bengals with the number 2 overall pick. I've got Jake Fromm. Milky Kuiper's got Jake Fromm. Uh, what else more can you say about him? Jake Fromm he stepped into Alabama. He stepped into Georgia, I should say, and he's been the guy since day one. They cut Andy Dalton. They've got literally maybe about a scrambling quarterback in there with Jeff Driscoll, who might be a career backup. He's a practice squad player at best. They've got to lean on Jake Fromm here now, but I think Jake Fromm is totally the guy. He's got all the tools. Some have even compared him to Peyton Manning. I think he's a smart quarterback. Played at Warner Robins, Georgia in high school. Featured on QB1. I mean, this guy's been in the spotlight the whole time, and he's handled it. While Georgia hasn't won the national championship, we'll see if they can do that actually this year in real life. But I think Jake Fromm is totally the type of quarterback that you can put under center for 15 years and be a Hall of Fame type talent. Similar to like Andrew Luck before he retired early. I think that's a pretty accurate comparison.
Yeah, he's in my eyes, he's not a guy that's gonna sit there and you're gonna be like, "Wow, he just made that play." But he's not gonna turn the ball over. I don't want to call him a game manager, but he's gonna manage the game with be a very, very good game manager, and he's very accurate. He knows how to make all the reads. I think his transition from Georgia to the NFL will be seamless.
Yeah, and unfortunately, it looks like this year in real life, Georgia's still kind of holding his hand, thinking he's sort of that like freshman, 18-year-old quarterback coming in there trying to play these big SEC teams. But overall, I think if you unlock the offense for him, I mean, this guy's going to execute. He's almost been compared to like a coach on the field, like some of these smarter quarterbacks we've seen coming out. Um, I can't ever recall him not stepping up. I mean, he's a gutsy quarterback. He's a tough kid. He's from on down south. Um,
Yeah.
he's he's the type of kid that you'd want to build around as a franchise quarterback. And again, it's another good situation with Cincinnati. You've got Joe Mixon, who's probably a top 10 running back in the league. AJ Green might be aging, but he's still a very elite wide receiver. John Ross, and the other gentleman, Tyler Boyd.
Tyler Boyd, yep.
Tyler Boyd, he's a wide receiver from Western PA. Played at.
Very similar to Tua. He's stepping into a pretty damn good situation, I could say.
Yeah, I mean
Bengals to go with him.
these aren't two teams you would think that would necessarily have the number 1 and number 2 overall pick, but they just had unfortunate seasons. And in terms of our Madden League, they really didn't have quite a bit of a like consistent team
Not much
and ownership.
stability.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, they had what, maybe 10 owners combined all year, and that's
Yeah.
not gonna have any stability. But both of these guys look pretty active. Look like they're ready to make some move. Look like they're ready to hit this thing running, and totally build around these two young quarterbacks they got planted into.
I'm excited to see. Hopefully, these guys are here for the long haul and see how these guys develop.
For sure, I think totally you can see a nice Kyler Murray, Drew Lock type situation with these two quarterbacks.
Definitely, easily.
All right, and let's now we're gonna move on over to the number 3 overall pick here. It's gonna be the Tennessee Titans. Bounced around ownership. Used to have a gentleman by the name of Gator Hater. He wasn't very good, but nonetheless, the New Year's is going to get gifted the number 3 overall pick here, and we're kind of conflicted on this. You picked Jerry Jeudy. Can you explain to me a little bit why you think they go Jerry Jeudy here?
Well, first of all, if we haven't really seen any indications of what they're doing with Mariota, right? Unless I completely missed it.
No,
But
no, there hasn't quite been a.
if
Uh,
they think
yeah.
Mariota's the guy, it's got to build weapons around him, got to set him up to be successful. And I think Jerry Jeudy, I don't want to call myself a draft analyst, but I think I'm better than Mel Kiper. Maybe that's saying something about him. But Jerry Jeudy's supposed to be one of the best wide receivers since Julio. Julio Jones. Can't go wrong with that.
Oh yeah, Jerry Jeudy. I mean, he's been absolutely electric. You know, he used to roam the sidelines of Alabama, but Jerry Jeudy, he's pretty much put up, almost similar numbers, and he might even be a step or two faster than Julio Jones, which is the
Yeah.
crazy thing. Think about how great of a player he was. The only reason I don't have them going there, I think Jerry Jeudy is a fantastic player, totally worthy of a top 5 pick. But I think Jerry Jeudy, I think they've invested a lot in the wide receiver position, and I don't think they've drafted enough in edge. They've had Harold Landry starting at the other edge rusher, but I think Chase Young is a man amongst boys. I think he's a Joey Bosa type player, especially with that comparison of him being in Ohio State as well. I think he can totally step aside from Harold Landry. I mean, how much longer are you going to rely on Cameron Wake trying to rush the passer? Chase Young can come in.
Time's ticking.
Yeah, Chase Young can come in. He'll be a 10 plus sack guy for 10 plus years. He's going to be a very very good edge rusher. But I think they can't go wrong with Jerry Jeudy there too, like you had said.
Yeah.
Jerry Jeudy is a very fantastic player.
In my eyes, you can't go wrong with
Yeah.
either player in this spot.
But then again, that's where we come in with the conflict here. You're more of an offensive type of guy, while I'm more of a defensive guy. But nonetheless, the Tennessee Titans are going to get a very, very good blue chip player here in this spot.
Yes, they are.
All right. Any more you want to say here about Tennessee?
No, like I said earlier, can't go wrong with picking either player here. Both players are cornerstone players of your franchise for the next 10 years, and what more can you ask for? To be honest.
Yeah, for sure. They can't mess this one up. I mean, they could even go quarterback here if they don't think Mariota's the guy. But number 4 overall, I don't see it popping up. Did you put it at the end of the Google Doc?
It's in there. It might have just not
It doesn't look like it's saved here. Let's see what we can do here. Maybe pull it up. But I think we both can. We both
I'd have
had.
to give it a refresher.
Yeah, we both. I think we both had the number 1. Oh yeah, there we go. It popped up here as.
C.J. Henderson, cornerback from Florida.
Yeah. Let's see here, Mr. C.J. Henderson. I think.
It's as you can see, all season long, it's the teams that have shut down man corners. That just, with the way the league or the game's playing this year, it's a big. I would say it's the most important part of your defense, having shut down corners.
Yeah, I mean both the two top. Sorry, the Super Bowl. Who are their cornerbacks? Chris Harris and Marshawn Lattimore, 2 number 1 man cover corners, can take your best wide receiver out of the game. I think getting C.J. Henderson gives them a building block here. Obviously, they're another team that could get quarterback. We really don't know how they feel about Derek Carr. It's a newer user in there, but I think C.J. Henderson is a good pick for them as well. And they still have Antonio Brown, so I don't think they're going wide receiver.
That's true. In my eyes, he's you come in right away, he's not gonna be like the big shutdown corner, but the upside is there. That's what I think this pick's for, the upside. He's gonna be good right away, but he's not gonna be, outstanding, jaw dropping Jalen Ramsey, Patrick Peterson type impact right away. But you develop him a little bit, he's gonna be a top 5 guy. I'm not sure how you see him.
I don't quite watch as much Florida football as I should. I know they've consistently put out DBs year in and year out, but for the most part, I think Mr. C.J. Henderson is a very, very good defensive back prospect, and I think he's do wonders for any team that takes him, and it'll give him another building block alongside of Carl Joseph, who's been a absolute thumper and playmaker since he came out of West Virginia there.
Again, another pick where can't really mess this one up.
So far, we'll see. We'll see how we're both thinking here. I think a couple teams could reach here early on. Maybe even early on, top 10, maybe draft a guy that shouldn't necessarily be there, but if they draft by
But hey,
need, I think, yeah.
If you think that certain player's the guy, draft him.
Yeah, it depends. It all comes down to that philosophy, the age-old question. Do you draft best player available or fill a need?
Yep.
But I think either way, this might be the best of both
Raiders
worlds
got a lot
here.
of needs. Let's be honest here.
Yeah, yeah. Segueing into our number 5 pick here. This is going to be the Washington Redskins. You have here Grant Delpit, safety out of LSU, and I have Jerry Jeudy out of Alabama. The interesting part I have here about both of these is both these guys could be considered the number 1 player in the draft.
Oh yeah,
Besides getting
100%.
besides
Couldn't agree with you more.
yeah, besides getting a number 1 quarterback, you could argue both these. I mean, both these guys are generational talents. When in terms of goes to Grant Delpit, he's probably a better prospect. He's Jamal Adams, but with better coverage. And you all know how good Jamal Adams is. And the other side, we talked about Jerry Jeudy earlier on in this draft. I mean that guy's phenomenal.
If you can pick him up at number 5, you're getting a steal.
Yeah, and they've got a very good quarterback to build around in Dwayne Haskins, and getting him Jerry Jeudy alongside a couple of the other guys he's got to throw at the ball to. Can't go wrong there. Jerry Jeudy or Grant Delpit here. I'm not quite sure who's running around at the safety position, but then again, the Redskins got a bunch of average receivers, so even a guy like Jerry Jeudy is an upgrade, even over.
My whole thing with Grant, I think they can go with Grant Delpit is because I'm not really too sure what identity the Redskins are trying to go for, offense, defense. It's just they kind of been all over the place in my eyes, and since they let Ha walk, what was it, last year now?
Yeah, yep.
I think this guy will step in and he'll probably give you the same play Ha has as a rookie, and he'll
probably even better.
Develop into be probably the best safety in the league at one point.
Yeah,
at some point.
It's incredible. I mean, if you do have one strength of that Washington team, it's that they're a physical, tough defensive team. Grant Delpit probably fits that identity more than most. He would have been top 5 pick last year if he had to come out. He's that good. I mean, this guy just makes plays from any position, and it all depends on what their GM's thinking. Offense or defense, either way, you're drafting probably one of the best players here at the position, or at their respective position.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to move on here to the number 6 overall pick. You've got Chase Young to the Oakland Raiders again. What team is this from? The Oakland Raiders?
This is from the Bears. I think this is from the Khalil Mack trade. I believe.
All right. Do you wanna talk about Chase Young going here to? Well, we already know a lot about Chase Young.
Yeah, we know a lot about these guys. It's pretty simple. You traded away Khalil Mack. You got to get a replacement eventually.
And I think Chase Young could totally be that player.
Yeah.
Chase Young is that good, and
I don't know if he's going to be as good as Khalil Mack, but even if he's about 85% of what Khalil Mack is, that's pretty damn good.
especially for that haul you got for him on a rookie deal. Still getting a lot of picks for him. Still getting a lot of rookies, especially on a team that's that cap strapped. Uh, you totally want to see them getting a guy like Chase Young, who's pretty darn good at football. And then we just talked about Grant Delpit. You can add Grant Delpit alongside Carl Joseph, and I think that's a formidable duo that can play back there for a
To be
long
honest
time.
with you, if you're the Broncos, if I have those two safeties, I'm not throwing across the middle. I'm not trying to get my receiver's head knocked off. That's it's not a team you want to be running a lot of slants and ends with.
Yeah, and especially
If I'm being honest.
yeah, I think Grant Delpit. Look a lot at what Derwin James has done. I mean, I think Derwin James is a better safety than Jamal Adams, but Derwin James unfortunately fell to an injury. Look at Grant Delpit, but I think he can be even better. I mean, this guy's got the coverage skills of Earl Thomas, but hits like a guy of Sean Taylor. I mean, this guy's just been phenomenal. It'd be an absolute catastrophe if he fell past the sixth pick, regardless of the team and regardless of your need. Um,
Yeah. Either of these guys here at pick 6, you could, what is it? I'd say my rankings, I'd give it Delpit, Judy, Young, top 3 players in the class. You're getting the top 3 player at pick 6.
yeah,
Come on,
and
now.
yeah, and the thing is, teams are going to draft quarterbacks high. They're the most valuable position in any sport. Uh, but so then you see teams like Oakland who kind of fell a little bit lucky here with the Bears falling off. They're gonna get Grant Delpit or Chase Young or some sort of impact, maybe even an impact lineman here at this spot. But either way, uh, they're doing pretty good for themselves. We're gonna move on here to the number 7 overall pick. I have here down here the Detroit Lions. We've kind of conflicted here. You've got Travion Diggs there for Detroit. You wanna start off, or do you want me to talk about who I think they're gonna draft
It's
here?
like, yeah, Darius Slay, not getting any younger. He's approaching 30 pretty quickly. I'd say you draft a corner now, you can develop him a little bit, and as soon as Slay starts regressing, you can hopefully Diggs is develop into that shutdown corner you need. That's how I'm looking at this.
Yeah, I mean Diggs, you can't go wrong with him either. But I think there's a lot of blue chip players in this draft. There's a lot of really really good players. Uh,
What's that? Our third Alabama player already?
yeah, you've got Alabama there. I'm going with Georgia. They're the second best team in that conference. Andrew Thomas, he stepped in as a true freshman, played on that Georgia line. Here he's swung out to tackle now that they've got some graduations. But I think he's a close bet for the best lineman in this draft. His his uh his future's probably at tackle. Uh, he played guard before at the collegiate level at a very high level. He could play guard, could play tackle. You could put him in there for the Lions if they're going to make a push for Matthew Stafford. Still trying to find something out. You can't go wrong here with Andrew Thomas. He could probably play any spot on the line.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you. You're the offensive line guy. I was thinking if you think he's the best lineman in the class or not.
Um, to be honest with you, I'm
Or is
conflicted
it a
on that.
toss up?
I think Andrew Thomas and a young man by the name of Trey Smith out of Tennessee. I think Trey Smith can totally be the best lineman in this class. But Mr. Trey Smith, he's missed some time. Unfortunately, he's had blood clots in his lungs. That's kept him out almost a year of football. But when he played guard for Tennessee, I mean, he's got the build of a tackle, but he played guard for Tennessee as a true freshman. He was the second best lineman in all of football, and that's dating back to when Quentin Nelson played. And Quentin Nelson was, outstanding, blue chip, can't miss, top,
We all know what Quentin Nelson's
yeah,
doing.
yeah. And Trey Smith, he was close to him. The only thing with Trey Smith is he's got his injuries concerns, but I think Trey Smith might be the best. I think he probably is the best lineman in the class, but with those injury concerns and you just don't know what he's kind of doing, you've got to go with Andrew Thomas, who's the safe, rock solid pick. I mean, he's still going to be a top 10 tackle in this league, which is super valuable.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You
but
know,
we'll get to Mr. Trey
like
Smith later on.
like we say, running backs grow on trees. Offensive tackles are the fuck, it's night and day.
Yeah.
There ain't too many of
Yeah.
them.
You can even draft a guy top 10 who just doesn't do well.
Sucks.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Speaking of top 10, we've got two linemen here for the Atlanta Falcons at number 8 overall. You've got Derek Brown, phenomenal, absolutely incredible defensive tackle out of Auburn. Sorry, and I've got Creed Humphrey, pretty good center out
A
of
little typo
Oklahoma.
there. Happens.
Yeah. Uh, if you watch much Derek Brown tape,
No.
all right. Well, all right. Well, nonetheless, I watched this young man play against Oregon. Oregon supposedly had this incredible offensive line. Incredible, you know.
Yeah.
Thor Mockinson. They've got all these guys on the offensive line. They're going to be the bee's knees over there in the Pac-12. Well, I can tell you right now why they didn't win the game, because Derek Brown, Nick Coe, and a couple other fantastic defensive linemen for Auburn. They could just rush three guys, and they took that offensive line behind the woodshed. They just Derek Brown, he's an absolute animal. Incredible player inside and out. He can play any spot you want on the defensive line. Probably more suited to play inside than out, but he can totally rush the passer inside there. Incredible player. He might not even be the best one on that defensive line, but nonetheless, he's totally worthy of a top 10 pick.
That's why I was looking at him. I'm gonna be honest. I don't know much about the Falcons, but
They've got about Grady Jarrett, and that's about it. They've got Grady Jarrett,
you can't
and then some average
interior
pass
D
rushers.
linemen, especially in a division with the Saints, that just the Cardinals and Giants running the ball in the playoffs with that offensive line, got to be able to match up.
Yeah, yeah. Derek Brown is totally a difference maker. He can come in right away, and he'll be able to not only rush the passer, he'll be able to knock through double teams. He's a guy that I think could be even similar to like a Ndamukong Suh type career. Very good player. And
Can't go wrong with that.
yeah, and well, I don't have. It's not a sexy pick, but Creed Humphrey, center out of Oklahoma.
Tell me about him. I don't know much about this guy.
In case you didn't know, the Falcons center, Alex Mack, the multiple all-time All-Pro, Pro Bowler center, All-World center, pretty much. Certainly, the last 2 or 3 years, he hasn't been the same type of player he was with that Browns team when him and Joe Thomas were the best at their position in the league. But Alex Mack was still by far a very, very good center these past couple of years. I just figured, maybe they're looking to fill the hole pretty early and often. Creed Humphrey, very stout center out of Oklahoma. Obviously, we know he blocked for the MVP of the league last season, Kyler Murray over there at Oklahoma. Oklahoma's put a bunch of linemen in the league. And center, while some might not value it as much as others, he's clearly one of the top linemen in the draft.
You can't, as pretty sure everybody who's watching knows how overpowered defensive linemen are. Can't go wrong with this pick. I'd say if he takes that, that's probably one of the best picks so far.
Yeah, not so much value, but it fills a need. Could be considered the best lineman in the league, or the best lineman in the draft. Probably not, but safe pick. Maybe one of the safer picks. Yeah.
Can't go wrong with
Yeah,
safe pick.
a lot like the Colts got.
Would you say
The Colts drafted the young man, the center out of
his
Alabama, Ryan
ceiling's
Kelly.
not as high as a Andrew Thomas, but his floor isn't as low?
Yeah.
You could say. because
Yeah,
of
I
the
think
injury
I
concerns.
think it's pretty comparable to Ryan Kelly. A couple of years back when the Colts drafted him, he'll be the Colts center for 10 years. That's value.
Yeah.
You get a first round pick who plays center for you for 10 years.
Damn
You'll
right,
take that
damn
every
right.
day of the week. All right, number 9 overall. A little bit surprising here. Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the number 9 overall.
Finessing their way
pick.
up.
Trade Shark out here. Wealthy Muffins, he's going to make them a couple moves.
Hey, man, do what you got to do.
Yeah. I mean, that guy's gonna grind. He's gonna try and claw his way up to get the best pick possible.
Let me add a point about those trades. They actually made sense.
Yeah, Yeah, I mean, it was totally realistic on what he gave up to move up. Wasn't entirely King's ransom. It's a non-quarterback pick. Jameis Winston has progressed to superstar. He's going to be the guy there for Tampa Bay. We didn't quite have the same player drafted, but we both had the
Same
same
idea,
spot. Yeah,
So
I
you
mean,
got your franchise quarterback. You got a top 5 receiving core. That offense is get yourself a solid left tackle, and they're going to explode and be top 3 in the league.
oh yeah, for sure. I mean, it was a team. It was a 10-6 team that missed the playoffs. They've got the luxury of getting a very good left tackle.
Blue
That's
chip.
blue chip. Both these guys, you can't miss out on them. I mean, I just gave you a 10-minute lecture on a friggin' left tackle out of Georgia, but Walker Little. I mean, this guy's a rock, a rock.
Can't go wrong with a Stanford O lineman.
Yeah, I mean, he's very considerable too. While he hasn't had the greatest success in the league, I mean, I think his floor is like a Jake Matthews from Atlanta. He played his college ball at Texas A&M. But I'm actually gonna have to take a phone call here. I'll be right back. You want to continue on? Maybe talking about these guys real quick.
It's the Bucks. I had a little inside information that they're looking to go offensive tackle. You can't. I mean, with either of these guys, in my eyes, if I had the number 9 overall pick, I wouldn't be upset with either of them. Stanford guy, a Georgia guy. I mean, I know Fallen's the offensive line guy, but in my eye, I mean, yeah, I made the draft class, but that was about a month ago now. I haven't seen it since, and it's just you could look at the grades. These guys are up at the top. You can't go wrong with either one in my eyes. It's like I said before, you got Jameis, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin. Can't remember off the top of my head if Buccaneers signed any other receivers. It's once you get yourself good quarterback, top 3 wide receiver core,
You can get a top.
franchise left tackle.
Yeah, you'll be good. Especially with this.
That's a recipe for success, if you ask me.
Yeah, I mean, this league's gonna play 6 or 7 years, and in 6 and 7 years, I can see both these guys being a Tyron
Actually
Smith type.
progressing.
Yeah, Tyron Smith type. I mean, these guys are home runs. Good value. It's not a good pick. You know, who's gonna want to draft the sorry. Wow, I'm going crazy here. Who's gonna want to draft a lineman? You know, they're not gonna put up. They're not gonna win Rookie of the Year. They're not gonna win MVP. But I'll tell you what, you'll notice a total difference when you get guys like these in here.
You're damn right. I wish I had the luxury of knowing what that was like.
Yeah, me too, boss. But here we go. Number 10 overall, we've got the Los Angeles Rams. Totally not where they thought they'd be picking. Number 10 overall, they thought they'd been at least a 10-win team. Not in our league. A lot of ownership issues. We've conflicted our picks here. We just talked about Mr. Walker Little, but here we're going to see Dylan Moses make his first appearance on the board. He's a very tough-nosed Alabama boy. I mean,
Another one.
Yeah, we're going to talk about a lot of Alabama players here, as we said earlier, but I mean, this guy's incredible. Real life, he tore his ACL. He's not going to have that injury concern in the draft.
It's our own universe.
Yeah, in this universe, Dylan Moses came in and played his junior year, and is, thumping cats over there at Alabama.
Yeah, doing what Alabama does.
Yeah, there you go. I mean, do I even need to list all the Alabama guys that have been in the league? Say the Rams go and get a guy like C.J. Mosley type. Yeah, they're gonna take that every day. I mean, if you think about it, inside linebackers probably their lowest position they're gonna have. I mean, I think Corey Littleton's their best guy. If you know who Corey Littleton is, you
can't go wrong with either pick. They're both needs for the Rams.
Yeah.
And do you know off the top of your head, did Andrew Whitworth call it quits?
I'm not too quite sure, but if I had to take a guess, I think he did too. That opens up a big hole there. So either way, they've got huge gaping holes here. They just dumped a ton of money into Jared Goff, so you're either going to get him a guy to protect his blind side, or you're going to go get your Jared Goff of the defense there. That's their signal caller. That can be pretty much everything.
Yep. another pick where you can't mess this one up, especially if these two guys are available.
Yeah, both very good players here. I think we're gonna progress on quickly. We got a little bit of variance going on here, but we've got Miami Dolphins number 11. They still have this pick, or was this traded?
Um, as of making this, they still have it. I'm not 100% sure, but if they do have it, it's pretty simple. They need offensive linemen, so
Yeah,
yeah,
I mean
pretty simple.
this could
Not
be a
much to talk
Herbert
about.
this could be a Herbert pick if they think Herbert's that good. We
Yeah, I
don't.
was talking to some guys in the front office of Dolphins, and they're really. I know they did. They sign Philip Rivers.
They did sign Philip Rivers.
I know they signed Rivers, and they're also high on Rosen, so I'm not really sure what's going on down there, but we'll see, I guess.
Yeah, yeah. Creed Humphrey, we talked a lot about him. I picked a guy that I think has a higher ceiling. They still have Tunsil in our league, but I still think Trey Smith could be the best tackle in the league someday. He's been absolutely incredible. Like I had said, if you get a guy that's at Quentin Nelson's level, who's the best guard in football, maybe debatable. If you have a top two guard in the league, you're going to take that every day of the week. Trey Smith, I think, has that ceiling of being a top two lineman in the league, regardless of position. Um, Here, you're going with a guy whose floor could not, it could be what? Maybe a Laramie Tunsil, who's a slightly above average player, but his ceiling is through the roof. Through the roof for a team of Miami that's stocking up on draft picks for next year. Maybe next year
Hey,
they're going to get their quarterback. But Trey Smith, regardless of it, can come in. I think he can be an impact Pro Bowl level guard his rookie year, much like Quentin Nelson. But tackle, he's also got the upside of playing tackle too.
yeah.
So
Even if he's just an above average tackle, I'll tell you one thing. I'd love me an above average tackle.
yeah, yeah. I mean, fortunately for me, I've got two average to above average tackles, and it's made a difference. Um, I think in this league where you've got so many dynamic pass rushers that are all across the board, getting tackles, getting any linemen, they're going to help you out regardless of what spot they play. Anytime you can, neutralize a star pass rusher or, have that one or two guys on the line, you can just, when you need a yard or two, you've got to trust those guys. You call on them. I think Trey Smith and not only Creed Humphrey too, they can sort of be those guys there. But
Oh yeah.
rumor has it Miami might be looking to move this pick, but as of right now, we're thinking they're going offensive line with this spot.
Yeah, that's probably their biggest need. I don't understand why they wouldn't.
And
But
going
that's
on
just me.
here, got New England Patriots, surprising 12th overall pick. Tom Brady's still going to play another year or two. You've got them reaching, I think. Mr. Justin Herbert is the
Yeah,
pick.
the Patriots are one of those teams where when they see their guy, they're gonna take their guy. So I think this is Brady's last season. So I mean, why not just keep it going with Herbert? Put him in Belichick's hands. Who knows? Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, Herbert, he's talented. I don't think he's the best quarterback. I don't think he's a great quarterback. I think he's got tools that if you put him in that Belichick offense, he's going to be. He can make him work. I mean, he won 10 games with Brian Hoyer. Justin Herbert, on the other hand, he's got way more talent than Brian Hoyer will ever have. But, I mean, Herbert's got a rocket arm, uh, very mobile, sort of built like a Josh Allen type. But his accuracy is the thing that keeps him in question, much like Mr. Allen himself.
Yeah,
Herbert,
I'd say he has a little bit more accuracy while a little less arm strength. If
yeah,
you agree with that.
yeah, I think that's pretty accurate with him. I mean, he's had a rough start to his senior year uh, in real life, but if if the Patriots have a chance to draft their quarterback in the future, they're gonna do it. I mean, they don't have much behind him. They traded Jimmy G a while back. They traded Brissett. Well, guess what? Brissett's starting games for the Colts now. I mean, they just played in the AFC Championship. While Garoppolo hasn't had the greatest amount of success for the 49ers, Herbert's got a chance. Tom Brady's not going to play forever. I mean, next year, like you had
Yeah.
said, I think that's going to be his last year. Uh, maybe they don't know. They know something we don't know. Maybe Brady's still got 3 more years or so left in him.
I'm not buying into that crap.
Well, we'll see. Because I unfortunately am subscribing to it, and I think they're gonna go CD Lamb here. They don't have the benefit of an Antonio Brown in our league. They've got a Josh Gordon type. Edelman's getting up there in age. I think CD Lamb can bring him their best. That he can be an Antonio Brown type. I mean, this guy
Stretch
is
the field.
this.
I think Brady can throw it very far, but
I mean, you might think he's not necessarily worth this high of a pick. He wasn't the number one receiver coming out. But he's the type of guy, if you put him in Bill Belichick's hands, I think he can totally have a Randy Moss type season. This guy is absolutely incredible.
yeah, athletic freak.
Stretching the field, you name it. CD Lamb is the guy you want on your team.
Hello?
Yo, hold on, my mic disconnected. I'm back. I'm gonna switch the pick here coming up.
Technical difficulty.
Yeah, technical difficulties. Mock draft season. We've got position change request. Oh, Blake Cashman. He's gonna swap his spot here. Nonetheless, we're going to the 13th overall pick, the Detroit Lions again. What a guy, Mr. The Detroit Lions. What team is this from? I'm not too familiar.
I'm not sure either, but that's what we got. That's what we got.
Is this their pick? Well, nonetheless, you've got Dylan Mosley. We talked about him. I've got Isaiah Simmons. He's listed as an outside linebacker here. He's more of that modern day linebacker that can cover. He's more of a safety. He's played that safety spot or more of a sub linebacker role.
Yeah, but you see with today's league, it's practically the best linebackers are pretty much
Safeties.
safe
They'd have been
anyway.
safeties, 10 years back. But Isaiah Simmons totally is going to be a difference maker no matter where he plays on the field. I think he's more of, like we had said, sub linebacker type. He's going to be an impact player there. They've got Gerard Davis, I believe, at linebacker, but
Yeah, with Matt Patricia, he's a defensive guy. Just bolster that defense a little more. Maybe get the Lions over the hump.
yeah, both these guys can do that from the linebacker spot. Both of them, Matt Patricia would love to have. Dylan Moses can also rush the passer a little bit. As in terms of also being his Gerard Mayo of sorts, Isaiah Simmons is going to be the type of guy that'll play anywhere on that defense, and he's going to play really well. He's going to play hard. He's going to play tough. He's going to play fast. Physical Clemson football, key chip on that defensive team that absolutely stoned Alabama in the national championship last year. Either way, they can't go wrong with either of these guys.
No.
We're going to move that on to the number 14th overall pick here. I've actually got a repeat. I picked C.J. Henderson. I still think the Texans can go corner here. Trey Smith is on the board, like you had said. Texans are probably going to draft him there. They need offensive linemen.
Yeah.
Bad. They just picked up La'el Collins in the big Jadeveon Clowney deal. I think they can go tackle, cornerback, whoever. If you can name me a guy that's starting in the Texans' defensive backfield, I'll give you a dev trait because you probably can't. Trey Smith.
Yeah, I'm loving what the Texans are doing with their team so far. Let's be honest, they're building it the way they should be in real life.
Yeah, for sure. They got kind of nickels for Clowney, but nonetheless, they're trying to redeem that up here. Maybe adding Trey Smith. You get two very good linemen for a team that had offensive linemen along the lines of backups, the career backups along the line, and Watson has not been able to do much of anything.
Yeah, running for his life
Yeah, not so good there.
with his cheese X factor or superstar ability. But that's another discussion for another day.
Yeah, I mean, you can't go wrong with Trey Smith. I'm very high on him. I think he's the best lineman in the class. But C.J. Henderson, if you were to fall this far, you've got to pick him up. If maybe they sign a lineman or two in free agency.
Yeah.
I'm going to move on here to the 15th overall pick. The Saints traded the farm for this pick, correct? They traded a bunch of picks, right? Like
Something like
six?
that. Something
Something
like
like
that.
six?
But it's the definition of the rich get richer.
I guess. I mean, these aren't the here is where you're in the range. You're not going to have blue chip guys. You're not going to draft your franchise quarterback. These are going to be guys that can come in and play right away, maybe even contend for that rookie of the year spot. You've got AJ Espenza, right?
We'll just call him AJ.
A big guy, 6'7", or 280, 290
He's more
type.
of a hybrid guy, would you say? Not really an edge.
Yeah, I mean he can play inside in both,
Cam
probably.
Jordan type build, almost.
Probably play outside normally, and inside I'll rush inside there. Got a quick first step. Obviously got that length. Very good, very good player there for Iowa. Kind of underrated there. Iowa's put a bunch of impact plays in the league. This is probably one of their better ones yet. No Fant comes to mind there, but here they're going to go on the defensive side. When they play at Iowa, they play tough pro style football. This guy's going to come in. If they're going to trade Davenport, this guy can step in. I've got a cornerback there from Alabama. Don't quite know what we're getting out of Alabama corners. I'm sure you can remember D. Milner a couple of years back, if you remember him.
Yeah.
Hopefully that's not what Mr. Travion Diggs is. Don't quite know too much about him.
Actually, we hope he is.
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah, a lot of them NFC teams don't quite like the Saints. But Alabama pulls in some of the best athletes in the world. You get a guy that plays corner for him. Why not draft him when you move up there? Could also maybe reach for a quarterback. Don't quite know anyone that's worth this pick, but
yeah,
I think they're going to go defense. They've got quite a bit of holes even after winning the Super Bowl. Maybe try and get some of these impact players that can come in and play right away. Number 16 overall, Baltimore Ravens. Once again, we're going the same position because we think that's a need for him. You've got CeeDee Lamb there. We talked about him. But a guy like I've got Laviska Shenault, a wide receiver out of Colorado. I've even seen some comparisons of him compared to Julio Jones. Don't quite know he's that good. I mean, he's playing at Colorado, so he can't quite be that good, right? I mean, he's
well, Antonio Brown played at Central Michigan before he decided to.
Yeah, that's a fair argument.
Women will say.
Yeah, Mr. Lindsey played at Colorado, so I guess they produced some offensive talent. Regardless of how good you think Steven Montez is, Laviska Shenault has been a consensus first-round pick for the past 2 or 3 years. So consistency, all-around playmaker, probably might contend for that Biletnikoff Award. Can totally play inside, outside, slot, wherever you need him to. He's going to add another spot aside a big guy they signed last time, Hollywood Brown.
Lamar's the guy. Get him weapons.
Yeah, regardless of what you think here, I could even see a tight end, but I think that's kind of high, especially when you've got these two receivers with great upside. They're probably just going to look to add more weapons to them. They don't quite have a halfback. I could see maybe them reaching for a Jonathan Taylor type, but I think what they got in Mark Ingram is sufficient enough that they don't need to draft it first round. Defensive wise, I think they're all right. I think we both come to the agreement Lamar needs more weapons, and hopefully they can get some of these two impact wide receivers here. So we're gonna go move on to the back half here. We actually, ironically enough, have the same player, Tristan Wirfs out of Iowa. Iowa has put so many impact linemen in the league. One of the last ones memorable was Brandon Sheriff, who is just a phenomenal offensive lineman for the Redskins. He's probably going to get paid over 10 million a year. Very good player. Iowa's just consistently puts those kind of guys. Them in Wisconsin, the Big Ten linemen, they're gonna put these guys in the league year in and year out. So you know what you're getting out of them. Tristan Wirfs, I believe is his name.
Sure.
He can come in, step in. He's gonna block for whoever they play back there. Uh, whether
all
it
you
be
can ask for,
Foles
right?
or the GOAT Gardner Minshew. Number 18 overall, you've got Laviska Shenault, wide receiver out of Colorado. Talked about him a little bit. Don't quite know if
Yeah,
that's
just
necessarily where it's going, but you can talk about that a little bit.
yeah. My eyes. Well, you're the Vikings. You got Thielen. You got Diggs. You add this guy. And we're talking a little something, something, if you ask me. But if they're going along with their, what would you say? The Vikings are a defensive team, right?
Yeah,
That's
I
and
mean they
you
could
can't go
also,
wrong with
yeah,
Co.
yeah, especially when they let a guy like Everson Griffin. He actually walked to this free
I
agency.
will say, Adam Thielen, he's what is he on the wrong side of 30 now?
Close to it. He might be dropping off anytime here, but
Potentially looking for a replacement. You never know. Guys hit 30 and sometimes it's just
you never know. You know they're at the age where you only got a couple more years left, so Laviska Shenault can come in and play right away. You know, they've got to redeem themselves after they absolutely flopped.
Treadwell. Yeah.
Yeah, after they flopped on the Laquan Treadwell pick. Uh, I've got them going Nick Coe here. He's not quite the same build as Everson Griffin, but I'll tell you what, that guy's a damn good football player. I mean, he's one of the big SEC D linemen that when he's in the game, you've got to watch where he's going. We had Derek Brown a while ago, and we said how good he is. Nick Coe might even be the better one out of those two, and it's crazy the value the Vikings get here.
Yeah. Either guy. Let's be real.
With the Vikings, they're a win now team. Both these guys can come in. It wouldn't even be surprising if they competed for the offensive and defensive rookie of the year, respectively, at their positions. And you can get that at
Oh yeah.
18. You'll take that any day of the week.
Shit, you get
Especially,
that at 18.
yeah, these aren't blue. These aren't necessarily blue chip guys, but I'll tell you what, both these guys will be very good ball players. I think their ceiling might not be as high as many have think, but I think they can come in and have a high floor in terms of making an impact right away. So
Yeah.
that's all I've got for Minnesota here. Do you have anything else?
No, I don't want to reiterate what you just said, but if either of these guys are on the board, like we said multiple times, can't mess this one up. Great
Yep.
value for where they're picking.
Yep. I've got Kansas City now. Kansas City. This is an interesting team. I mean, where do you start? Where do you start? I think this Kansas City team, I think you look at one, it's got to be their cap situation, right? I mean,
Yeah.
they've got the best, one of the best players in the league, Patrick Mahomes. If we're lining up and you want to build a team, I think one of the first guys you're going to hear
Patty
is going to be
Mahomes.
Patty Mahomes.
100%
Yeah.
hands down.
Well, unfortunately for them, Patty Mahomes isn't going to be making $7 million next year, or should I say the following year? It's got to be they're going to pay Patrick Mahomes whatever he wants.
It's gonna be
Yeah,
record breaking. It's no way to sugarcoat it. It's gonna be
yeah.
record breaking.
So on defense, we've got two defensive backs highlighted. They're not going to be able to pay Tyrann Mathieu $20 million a year.
Gotta get. They're going full offense, cheap defensive talent, and gotta hit on the draft.
Yeah, both these guys we've got, they're SEC talents. You know, those guys can come in and play right away. Christian Fulton, LSU DB. I mean, do I even need to mention how many DBs LSU puts in the league?
Yeah.
Like,
My eyes, it's taking Alabama safety, you're okay. But if it's an Alabama corner, then you should be questioning your.
and
Weird.
here we've got LSU corners, LSU
Yeah.
safeties. Those guys are going to come in. They're going
Yeah.
to fill the
Tyrann
shoes.
Mathieu, Patrick Peterson, Jamal Adams. The list goes on.
Yeah. Look at Trey White, guy who
Trey
played for the
White,
Bills.
yeah.
Yeah. We'd seen his teammate Grant Delpit, but here's another guy, Shane Carter, out of Alabama. That guy can certainly play some football. Either way, the Chiefs are going to get an impact player defensively on a
Which
team
we
that
could
needs some
probably
cheap
both agree
contracts.
with is much needed.
Yep. We're going to go on to 20 here, another Alabama pick. This would be their original pick, correct?
Yes.
This might be messed up. I hope it's right. If
They
not,
have 2 first. I know that.
okay. Yeah,
That's
actually, yeah,
confirmed.
yeah, because they traded up one of the
They
Packers
somehow got
pick.
the 9th pick without getting up their own pick.
It was
Somehow,
probably
because they
might have
got
been the
they got
Packers
that
pick.
first in the
Levante David
what,
trade a
in-
couple years
yeah,
back,
yeah,
or a
yeah,
couple
yeah.
this
We
year.
got something like that.
Yeah, regardless of it, we've got Xavier McKinney. You watch much Xavier McKinney football?
Be honest, I haven't.
Okay, well, Xavier McKinney, this guy's got a huge ceiling for safety. Oop, sorry, knocked off some technical difficulties. I mean, this guy's got a huge ceiling. He plays at Alabama, dude.
Yeah, and like I said earlier, the Buccaneers might have themselves a damn near top 3, top 2, maybe the best offense in the league. It's time to get a little defense in there.
Yeah, Xavier McKinney totally fixes that. This guy, obviously, he's an athletic as all get out. He's probably going to test very well. He's played at Alabama a couple years. What more do you want for a guy that can come in and provide a very good defensive back for the team that needs it?
That's another. Don't be surprised when the Buccaneers win that division this year, especially if they end up with the 2 picks we think they are.
Oh yeah, that's a team that I think could totally contend for that division. They were a 10-6 team, and most people cast them off like they just missed it. I mean, 10 and
When's the last
6.
time we seen last time we seen a 10-6 win team miss the playoffs? I think was the Cardinals 6, 7, 8 years ago. Not something you see every season. They're a damn good football team.
Yeah, yeah, totally not something you want to see. Wealthy was not 11-5 because the Seahawks also went 10-6. Seahawks had the tiebreaker over them. Wealthy could have been 11-5 team, I believe. But that's the rest of the non-playoff teams. We're going to go to the playoff teams here. The first playoff team that's going to be selected here, you've got Isaiah Simmons, linebacker at Clemson. Kind of feels that Jabril Peppers type for that team.
Yeah, I
that
would
just
say
traded
that
him along.
one of the Browns' biggest needs is linebacker in general. I would think so.
Yeah, I mean they've got
an athletic, rangy guy.
they've got a bunch
Steal.
of
He's a steal at this point.
they've got a bunch of average linebacker types in Joe Scobert and Christian Kirksey. Isaiah Simmons can totally step in and play that spot. I've got Raekwon Davis. He's another one of these hybrid types. I mean, this guy can play any spot on your D line. I want to say he's like 6'7", like
He's one of them Bama boys.
6'7", 290. Like he plays
of them
defensive
Bama
tackle,
boys.
and you're like, holy shit, that guy is a mammoth. I mean, look at the picture here. He's crouched over, and he's as big as some offensive linemen. This guy is a freaking Hulk. Like, this guy, this is one of those guys that you're like, holy crap, Alabama's got some freaks of nature out there.
You got Myles Garrett screaming off the edge. This guy coming up the middle. You're gonna have some shit in their pants.
Hey, he feels
Tell you
like a Larry Ojinobi type. I mean, he was a good player, but Raekwon Davis, I mean, this guy's freaking phenomenal. Plays any spot on the D line. I think any coach would take a impact pass rusher, run stopper from any spot.
Yeah.
And especially for a team that were they a 500 team? The Browns?
They were, I believe they were 9-7 or 10-6. I want to say 9-7.
Maybe a 9-7 team, right?
But I will say they were. I think they're 9-7. Yeah, but they're a team that the Browns' offense is pretty much complete, except for 1 or 2 holes on the O line.
Yeah, defensively, they get a top 10 defense. They're gonna contend for the conference championship, right? I mean, with that offense, you got one of the best in the league.
Especially with that division being weaker.
Yeah, Big Ben's getting up there. Lamar, still hasn't proven himself in our league.
Word in real life.
Titans, yeah. Titans, who knows? You know, who knows what they got? But Browns, you're going to get a good player here. A lot of good players. New York Jets, you've got T. Higgins, very big, tall, physical, athletic wide receiver there. I feel like he's played at. I feel like he's played at Clemson a long time.
He's
almost
caught a
like,
lot of passes from a lot of very good quarterbacks.
Yeah, I mean, what? I feel like he's been around. All them Clemson wide receivers, Deion Kane, Hunter Renfro, T. Higgins, like those guys played forever.
Say this guy, if you guys have been keeping up with the combine reports, I'm pretty sure this guy put up the highest combine number with a 8.2, I believe, which is anything over 8 is insane.
Yeah, he hasn't quite had the production like some of the other guys might have had, but man, the Jets, you had this guy. I know they don't know if Sam Darnold's the future yet after choking a playoff game.
This guy will certainly help.
He got benched in a playoff game.
If
Benched.
this guy doesn't help Darnold, Darnold's a lost cause, and he should never play in the National Football League again.
Correct. You've got the running back. You've got some pretty good wide receivers. I mean, Robbie Anderson has been incredibly underrated for years now. T. Higgins, I mean, this guy can catch anything in his way. He can go deep. He can go up. He can go over. He can go around. He can go in. He can go out.
You know who he reminds me of? Kind of a young Larry Fitzgerald, if I'm being honest. Can pretty much just do it all.
Yeah.
That's how I see in him.
I've got a corner.
He does
Yeah.
everything very good.
Yeah, you
Tell
go
me
wide
about this
receiver.
guy. I can't
This
say
this guy,
I've heard about this guy.
I don't know if I know him that well, but I can tell you, he plays at Stanford. You don't get a lot of guys that come out of Stanford that aren't quite good. They're one of the more pro-ready teams in the league. I went corner here because I think that's the Jets' #1 most vulnerable position. Who's lining up a corner here for the Jets? They just moved Tremaine Johnson to safety.
Yeah, I thought
Can you name another corner?
Got an old man that's
Yeah, I mean,
not
after that
corner anymore.
contract they gave Tremaine Johnson, can you name another guy lining up there at corner there for the Jets?
is Darrell Revis still playing?
Yeah, Darrell Revis. Yeah, unfortunately, I don't think Mr. Revis is coming out. I mean, even if he would, I don't think he'd. I mean, he'd sadly probably be the best corner on this team, but
That's pretty. He's like 35 now. That's pretty damn sad.
He's been in the league many, many years. But this guy, I think he's going to be all right. Maybe not have the highest ceiling, but he'll be the #1 corner on the Jets.
Yeah.
All right, moving on to the number 23 overall pick, the San Francisco 49ers. Who did they have to trade for this one?
This was the Packers pick that Bucks traded to move up. So this is 49ers moving back. I
Okay.
think. Something like that. If that makes sense.
Yeah, this was for a 3rd and a 5th. Good value there. You can't quite see exactly where the
It's somewhere. It's in there somewhere.
49ers are going. Who knows where they're going? But overall, Troy Dye, a little bit overrated in my eyes. But
I just seen. I mean, he's a
linebacker.
guy they have a very good front seven, and if he pans out, they can have probably one of the best front sevens in the league.
Yeah, besides Fred Warner, I mean, you've got Troy Dye, who's... I'm not big on Pac-12 defensive players, but nonetheless, I think he's got to be respected, I guess. I mean, my whole thing is, when have you seen... You can name about 2 or 3 impact defensive players from the Pac-12 on the D-line.
Legend of Kiko Alonso.
Legend of Kiko Alonso. What a freaking guy. I mean, maybe that's kind of who this guy's like. Like, I mean, I've got Jalen Johnson out of Utah. Utah, very overrated team, but I mean, they're getting a lot of hype. I guess he's probably the best player on the team. Sherman ain't getting any younger. I mean, I feel like he's played in the league about 15 years, right? They won the Super Bowl 20 years ago, right? I mean,
Something like that.
when we were little kids, I think that's what it's got to
I
be.
think we weren't even alive yet.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, cornerback's got to be a spot for them. They've got a Tremaine Brock type beside him. No, Tremaine Brock's not even there anymore. Who's beside Sherman? Who's gonna take over when Sherman hangs it up? Exactly. Yeah,
All I know is I torched him.
yeah. Not a good defensive backfield. Jalen Johnson out of Utah, I guess, is the best guy. I don't know Pac-12 that well, being an East Coast Conference guy, but or being East Coast kind of guy. Maybe these guys turn out all right, but who watches the 49ers anyway? Seahawks been a surprise.
Let me try this one. All
right, I'll give you this one.
So we got Albert Aguagubunam. I killed that. I think. But
Don't ask me, man.
Seahawks, they've been making big moves. They've been bolstering that defense up in free agency with HaHa. Another guy, I can't remember. But I think they got DK Metcalf on the outside. Tyler Lockett. Add this guy to give him a weapon.
We'll call him Albert. Alberto. Not
Russell Wilson.
Russell Wilson.
Russell Wilson.
Yeah, Alberto. I mean, you don't get first round hype as a tight end unless you're a pretty good ball player, especially at Missouri when you've got Kelly Bryant who can't hit the broadside of a barn throwing you.
Let me tell you one thing. Kelly Bryant's the lowest overall player in our class at a 47. I do remember that off the top of my head.
Oof. 47 overall Kelly Bryant.
Got him throwing him the ball. Pretty damn good.
Tyrod Taylor type, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Good luck if you Mr. Kelly Bryant. But Albert, very stout pick for Seattle. They haven't had an impact tight end since, Jimmy Graham left a while ago?
Yeah, even Jimmy Graham wasn't that much of an impact.
I could see him even going with a tackle of sorts. I mean, they've got... I think I could do a better job blocking than some of their linemen, and I'm old and
Would you
slow.
say this guy is a Noah Fant type, just not as athletic?
I think athletically he probably doesn't have the top end speed. I think he's maybe more of a physical tight end. I believe he's a lot taller. I want to say
Hell, if he turns into Gronk or prime Jimmy Graham.
Oh no, please. Oh no. I mean, he's got that. I think he's got that similar build. If I do recall myself.
I don't know much about Missouri football, if you're being honest, but.
Oh, well, in case you were wondering, speaking of tight ends, I'm watching Penn State here.
I just saw.
Yeah, Zach Kuntz tried to hurdle someone. Fun fact.
If anyone knows, that guy's a pussy.
Yeah, number 82 for Penn State, Zach Kuntz. I pancaked him. I played against him in high school. He's playing defensive end. Yeah, told him pancaked him and told him to send that one to Alabama. But, he's only playing tight end at Penn State right now. Number 12 ranked team in the country. But we're going to move on to the number 25th slot in the draft, the Buffalo Bills. No one circles the wagons like the Buffalo Bills, baby.
Let me give you this proposition, Tom. You're a Bills fan, right? That's pretty known.
Correct.
Let everyone know you're a Bills fan.
I am.
You have Josh Allen, who has a rocket of an arm, and that might even be an understatement.
Strongest.
Then you have a guy named Henry Ruggs.
Oh,
you know what his 40 time is?
No, what's his 40 time?
It's in a 4.3s. You have a guy with 99 throw power, a receiver on the outside, 4.3. Think about that.
I tell you what, Henry Ruggs caught a lot of deep balls from Mr. Tua Tagovailoa.
D-Mac, if you're listening, if this guy's available and you don't pick him, I'm going to slap you upside the head. I could think of a better fit as an offensive-minded guy.
I don't think B-Mac's necessarily an offensive-minded guy. See, this is where we differ on a lot of these. You're more of an offensive guy. I'm more of a defense. They get this hybrid defensive lineman type. They've got Ed Oliver. Jerry Hughes isn't getting any younger. Shaq Lawson is more of a run-stuffing type. Harrison Phillips isn't as incredible as we thought he might have been. We don't know what we got from him. AJ Epenza? Espenza, but there's no S between the E and the P unless we typed his name wrong.
Uh,
Where's our
it's,
media guy? Where's our fact checker? We need a fact checker here.
he gave us the pronunciation of
Albert
big
O.
Albert O.
Kwan Shubum? O.
Albert O. Kwong Bong Nam. Something
Reg-
like that. We'll roll with
regardless of it, I think
that.
I think Iowa defensive linemen are all right. I don't recall a stout one being in the league in the past 20 years of my life. But Henry Ruggs, yeah, he can replace a John Brown type. He can be pretty good. I don't recall if they got Josh Gordon, but Henry Ruggs is a number one wide receiver.
Hey,
Maybe,
Cole Beasley and John Brown are on the wrong side of 30.
yeah. So I lie. Henry Ruggs. Well, I don't think he's a number one type. John Brown has been a consistent target for years in the league. I think he could be a John Brown type. Athletic, stretch the field.
Minus the sickle cell when he fell off a little bit, but
Okay, maybe that's pretty accurate.
when he had that 1,000-yard season, 100% I could see it too.
Yeah, Espenzia, he's all right too. But we'll get off that pick here as
Before I give myself a headache trying to pronounce these
Yeah.
damn names.
yeah. Here we've got LA Chargers, pretty good year. Had the the Offensive Player of the Year in the AFC, Mr. Melvin Gordon. They traded for Jason Peters. He's since retired. You've got Alex Weatherwood. He's going to play right tackle out of Alabama. Probably going to replace Mr. Peters there at right tackle. Very good pick there. Very solid. Very stout. Not one of the highest ceilings, but higher floor types. I've got. Is this the first true inside middle linebacker, Mike type linebacker? You know, the guy that
Thumper.
play in the middle. Mr. Patty Fisher there. He's racked
Guy
up.
that's gonna give you 100 tackles.
Yeah, exactly. I said he's racked up so many tackles in his career. He's playing there for Northwestern. I think LA needs to get that guy in the middle of their defense. You get a playmaker at all three levels. Obviously, you've got Ingram and Joey Bosa there at the defensive line. Derwin James, Casey Hayward, etc., etc., etc. They've got so many DBs. Patty Fisher, he's going to play in the middle. He'll be your signal caller. He can get guys in line, call any defense. Very smart. Not the most athletic player, but he's played there at Northwestern a very long time for what seems like 10 years. But he's going to be a guy that can step in and play regularly for LA. Maybe not necessarily have the highest athletic upside, but 26. If you're going by need, I think LA can go there.
Agreed.
Number 27. 27. This is your pick.
Yes, sir.
Good old Los Angeles Cardinals here. You've got Alaric Jackson, tackle out of Iowa. Yeah, you need a tackle. Sorry, bro. You didn't get anyone.
Hey, but you ain't telling me nothing I don't.
Yeah, I've got Clavon Chasion, maybe.
Clavon, Clayton, sure.
I'll tell you what. Take a look at how that guy's built. That guy can play anywhere on your defense. I'll tell you
Looks
what.
like a goddamn safety to me.
He looks like a safety. I'll tell you what. I think he can rush the passer. He's only about 240. He'd be a light pass rusher, maybe a Barkevius Mingo type. But you get a guy that's got some very, very high upside. He's got the athleticism. I think a fair comparison of him is a Barkevius Mingo, while he hasn't quite had the the athleticism or upside that he's lived up to. Coming out, he was a dynamic pass rusher. I think this guy can rush the pass rusher outside of Chandler Jones. He's not going to play inside. I think he can play outside. I think he can cover a little bit. I think he can play a lot of different spots in defense. Maybe even like a Lorenzo Alexander type. He can rush the passer.
I like me a hybrid.
Yeah, but I think he can also cover pretty well. Very athletic. Very good player. Maybe slipped a little bit more than he thought of. Than maybe people would think, I should say. Very underrated linebacker hybrid type. But I think you could do a lot of things with him on your defense. We're going to move on here to 28. We've got the Philadelphia Eagles. Held on to their pick here. I've got the tackle. They've got Andre Dillard. Maybe this guy can step in and play inside. for them. They need a lot of linemen, especially with guys like Jason Kelsey. He's going to hang it up here. He can't play forever. They traded Peters. The other guard, Brandon Brooks, he'll play for a while. The left guard, immediate hole. I think this guy can come in and play left guard. You've got Raekwon Davis. They just lost. They traded away Timmy Jernigan. They've also got a loss of potentially Brandon Graham being on the trade block.
They're another team I would say they need cheap talent. Talent.
They're hurting on cap. A guy like Raekwon Davis, no matter where you put him, he's going to be an impact player on that defensive line, regardless of where you play him. More of a defensive tackle type, could play that end, more like a Calais Campbell. I think is a pretty fair comparison for him. I think any team would take a Calais Campbell type. I mean, you'd watch him play for.
He's a damn good run stopper and above average pass rusher.
Yeah, you'd watch him play for years on your team. Very good player. Can't go wrong with him.
Nope.
29th overall, New York Giants. You've got them going to center. I've got a right tackle. Not sexy picks, but if we hear him bitch about his offense, if we hear him bitch about his offensive line anymore, I think our ears would probably bleed out. So clearly,
the only position on that O line is his guards that he has that are somewhat decent. At least he's got that going for him.
Yeah, he needs a lineman. I don't want to spend too much more time on this pick. We'll move on to 30 here. Both consensus. Indianapolis Colts, number 30 overall. They're going to draft Jonathan Taylor. Colts, they just got Cam Newton. They need a running back besides Marlon Mack and Nyheim Hines. Both of those guys disappeared in the AFC Championship. Jonathan Taylor, I'll tell you what, that guy doesn't disappear.
No. I will only knock on him is he's got a lot of mileage on him in college. A lot of mileage.
But on the other hand, I'll play devil's advocate. He ran for 2,000 yards like 3 times.
Oh hell yeah! You run this guy into the ground for 4 years. You and me both are running backs growing on trees, right? Run this guy into the ground, let him go, bring the next guy in.
Yeah. I mean, he's probably got a higher ceiling than Melvin Gordon. I mean, you look at production. I mean, I think this guy can be one of the best running backs in the league. I know they grow on trees. Me and you both share that same ideology. But Jonathan Taylor, you won't disappoint when you get him. Maybe an offensive line or maybe a defensive type.
Well, this guy, comes in. If this guy falls into the Colts' hand,
this is an immediate starter.
Favorite for rookie of the year.
Yeah.
Favorite rookie of the year. For
exactly.
Me if he falls into the Colts' hands.
Much like Josh Jacobs was last year for the Raiders. Obviously, Josh Jacobs didn't win it because of Drew Lock, but I'll tell you what, he was second. He's an impact player. He'll come in right away and he'll produce. 31st, you've got the Denver Broncos, AFC champ. You've got Nick Coe out of Auburn here falling to him. I think it's a smart pick there. You've got...
I'd say you're a defensive team. Why not improve that strength even more?
Yeah, I tell you what, I'd be doing cartwheels if I could get that guy. Interior line-wise, I let a couple guys walk. Not only a starter, but a depth guy. Nick Coe, he'd step in and play right away in the middle there. If you'd say a weakness of this team, it wasn't quite necessarily exposed too much in the Super Bowl, but sometimes we've struggled, was that soft underbelly of sort. I'd flop. I'd say we're going offensive guard. I let Connor McGovern walk. So I think we need another starting caliber guard. You got a guy from Georgia who's plug-and-play type. Yeah, he'll come in and play right away. But not much more to say here. I won't go on too much about the Denver Broncos strategy, as you got to know when to hold them and know when to fold them. So,
yep,
that's what I've got. Number 32, the Super Bowl champs. If they're around to make this pick, you've got Christian Fulton, DB out of LSU. We know those guys can come in and play. I've got Taylor Baez-Diaz out of Wisconsin. Oh, we know those guys can play. I mean, I think
that's gonna.
What? I feel like every year Wisconsin's offensive line, all 5 of those guys go in the league. Like
big run fucking blocker. If he makes that pick, it scares me.
Yeah.
The way he gashed us in the playoffs.
Didn't
Let's
quite
just
have
be
that
honest.
success against the Broncos in the Super Bowl, but you look at a Drew Brees who's gonna end up calling it quits here soon enough. They're gonna have to lean on Alvin Kamara because Teddy Bridgewater didn't resign. Linemen, they're gonna be a premium. They got 2 premium tackles. Let Pete walk. The other guy, who's your other guard? Don't quite know off the top of my head, but that's not a good thing. You've got tackles. Some teams build inside out. Some teams build outside in. This guy comes in the middle. You've got one less hole you got to solve there.
Yep.
I could also see him going something of a wide receiver type. Need some playmakers on that offense. They just let Cam Meredith and I believe Traquan Smith walk.
He's another guy who needs cheap talent.
Yep. A lot of holes. Center. This guy can come in and play 10 years, much like a Ryan Kelly type.
Yeah.
That's all I've got for the pre-draft podcast. How about yourself
I know
there?
we don't have any visuals for this, but would you want to talk a couple sleeper players maybe?
Okay. Yeah, for sure. I think that's fair enough.
So one off the top of my head is if you know anything about us, me and Fallen, we love this guy out of Penn State, Yatir Gross Matos. He's a athletic freak, can do it all.
Oh, that guy?
Yeah, that guy.
Oh, all right. Well, we're not even gonna start about him. I'm surprised he's not in the first round here. But if you need a pass rusher, I'd hop on this guy. I mean, this guy's what 6'6", about 260, just how you like them edge rushers built,
Long
dude.
arms.
Long arms, literally. Like if you go in Madden, you create a DN, you're making this guy. Like this guy, this guy's phenomenal, dude. I mean, yeah, he's packed on, muscle year in and year out. Been incredibly athletic. Stayed with his quick first step. Got a great bull rush, great swim rush, all the swim move, all the pass rush moves you'd like. He can stop the run. He's going to be an All Big Ten player. Should be an All American this year. We'll see if they give him some love. Had a little bit of some off-field concerns. He was actually suspended from Penn State's team over the summer, but we'll see really what he's about. I think he can be a first-round pick. That's one guy that comes out the top of my head. Quarterback-wise, you've got Sam Ellinger. He's put up some big numbers for Texas. Is Texas back? That's always debatable.
Let me
But
ask you this question. I didn't see Justin Herbert anywhere for you.
Yo,
What?
yo,
how you feeling?
I'm doing great, man.
Good. Oh, damn. Jesus.
Penn State's ass clapping Maryland right now.
Fucking A.
Well, sounds like Fallen had to step away, so I guess we're gonna wrap it up here. Hopefully, he clicked end. So take it easy, guys. Let's have a good draft. It's looking like it's actually 13-13, so who knows when the draft will be. Take it easy, guys.
Alright, just had my roommates pop in here. Did you finish this one off? You hear, Milky? Alright, we're gonna call this one a night. Take it easy, guys.